even on the continent, lady speakers in the world. So in all those forums, there is what you would call peer review mechanism, where parliament sit and reviewing the performance of the legislatures across the world. So if you are the leader of these institutions and people are saying, look here, what is happening to democracy or governance issues in the world and what is our role as parliament? And then your own parliament is a parliament which is invaded by soldiers, members of parliament are beaten up, and you are now the chairperson. It's like, Madam Chairperson, here your parliament was invaded by soldiers, your members of parliament beaten up. What did you do? And you can imagine that sort of position. Two, you are the presiding officer of an institution where members of parliament go to campaign, which is supposed to be their job, they are politicians. They are arrested, taken to detention facilities. So many ugly things happen. Journalists who are supposed to be covering this are also battered up. Their tools of work are confiscated and destroyed. And you are the speaker of that parliament. What do you do? What do you explain? So I think the speaker also is the head of the institution of parliament. These are her folks. Because questions are being asked. When she's presiding, letters are being written to her. What happened? So she had a responsibility to act and put it first of all on record that one, the institution of parliament is in danger. Because once you allow this sort of thing to happen, it becomes routine. It's like you become part and parcel to it as leaders. So she had to give her outrage and her exception. So look here, no. As far as I'm concerned, I could be in hierarchy, I should be the third biggest in this country. This is unacceptable. You can't do this to the people's representative. And I think that's what she did, for which she should be commended. The reactions. Because you see, the speaker does not have also a force where she will also deploy her force to either sharpshooters to protect MPs when they are going to campaign. She doesn't have a force to fight over the invaders. The only thing she can do is to address the person responsible. That's why she did not actually address the army. She did not actually address the police. She addressed both her concerns when there was SFC invasion and SFC battering of MPs in Arua to the head of state, who is the commander-in-chief. So the first letter, the president never replied. Then the second one came. It was quite a number of pages. It's sort of...
page 4 is missing. We've not seen page 4.
Yeah, it happens, you know, these handlers of this person. I don't think they are those sort of fellows who
show page 4.
No. Let me. But let me make the point. So the point is, when you read the president, His Excellency the President's reply, first of all, it's a diversionary. You doesn't address the real issues. He only addresses it in, I think in the last paragraph where he said, oh, I commend you for condemning something, and then the other one is like the Inspector General and the CDF will investigate.
But
the concern,
he says, when he was in Arua, he saw people of the opposition, people of Bobby Wine marching towards his procession. Then as he was seated, he saw some on a grader that maybe was trying to block a road, and as he was seated in the car, he felt two bangs onto the car, and then questions, who would do that to a president of Uganda?
Yeah, but that was not the speaker. The speaker wrote asking other questions. Yes. The speaker was talking about torturing her MPs and whether the people who tortured the MPs her or they are going to be brought to book. That was the speaker's concern. The other issues raised are actually for the head of state or the executive arm of government and the electoral commission. For example, if you are having rallies organized and you have allowed the procession to move into each other, that can't be the speaker to start saying, please do things like this. So her concern, rightly so, is about her members of parliament. But now that she raises members of parliament, there is a bigger one, that actually it is not only MPs who are beaten, even other citizens. And is this now, but because we've been discussing this for quite a long time since the incident happened, is this now the routine that you batter people like even animals are never battered in that way, and nobody apologizes for it? And two, nobody did. Nobody did. Actually, the one they apologized about was the Mitiana. That's that one they apologized. They also apologized about the journalists in Kampala because the pictures were so ugly and they were running all over the international media. But nobody has apologized about the MPs or even this, like one of the guys who I don't think he recovered is Shabani Atiku, because they literally broke his back. And he wasn't taken to hospital. He was left for that whole week in cells. He's the one who, when he collapsed in court, actually, when we are trying to apply for bail. So it's this ugly thing which every right-thinking Ugandan should look at each other in the face and say, never can we allow this. And I think that's why the speaker did. And the president, you know, I told you last time that the president at some point was like, you kill a civilian? Who are you? You kill, we kill you. But the sort of message he's giving is a little bit mixed. Yes, it happened, but these are the ones responsible. It is this famous story about rape. So, but why did you put on a skirt with a slit? You deserve it. I think that's the sort of reasoning we've come to. Let me tell you, this, and I think the speaker is right to be on record that this is not acceptable, and we know where the problem comes from, and we know who should address it. That's why she addressed to the very person. So the OOs can come in and defend, but at least she has told them she didn't address it to the army because she knows where the problem is coming from.
Well, you know, way back, I think now 20 years, Abudu and Abudu was in Kaddaga and Kampala advocates, and I used to walk down there at Kitgum House to eat lunch.
I've since then moved on.
Yeah, yes.
Like you have since then moved on.
So I don't expect Abudu to have very harsh words. Yes, it is good that the Speaker of Parliament wrote to the President, and I concur with Abudu, to seek explanation what, particularly the executive, is doing on transgressions that have taken place in the country, but more specifically to members of parliament. And the president did respond. The president did explain the genesis in that letter. Secondly, the president explained, outlined actions being taken. Because by the time the speaker wrote, the president had already directed the institutions that were involved in Arua to have a joint meeting and have a joint board of inquiry. That's how we call it, joint board of inquiry, by the police and the army to investigate what went and why did things go wrong. We hope, and even before that, the CDF and the IGP had addressed actually a press conference in Nakuru jointly. And I remember in that, both of them said they had apprehended, because soldiers and policemen are deployed in formation. You cannot say that you can't account for the soldier who's acting in the field if you have deployed there, because you know the unit from where they came. The CDF had explained in that press conference that the soldiers had been apprehended and they were going through internal disciplinary mechanism. Secondly, the IGP had also explained specifically two cases. The one in Arua, he had he said in that press conference that the DPC, the OC station, who were in charge of operations, had been suspended and put under inquiry. Two, the IGPs said in the case of Mityana that the 2 police officers who fired into that passenger minibus and dropped their guns and fled fled from Mityana, had been apprehended and were going I'm now telling you what the IGP said, and I have no doubt that those internal mechanisms are going on. 3, the president concluded his letter by acknowledging or by appreciating the speaker's understanding and condemning violence. And so you cannot say that the president was not comprehensive. He did respond. Now, about missives from the president, I think we should all be, we may not agree with him, but I think the president engaging with the public on controversial matters, he may misstate certain things. For example, when he says a Sikh MP, a Sikh suspect, escaped. Yes, you can have this quiet. How can a Sikh person escape? But at least for him, he has put, engage with him, say no, a Sikh person cannot escape. Then we can come back and say no, that Sikh person was aided to escape. Who aided him? That is a matter under investigation. We know for certain, yes, this Sikh person was aided either by the police or by the medical facility personnel or by political operatives. But that matter is under investigation. So the president did. And I think we should be happy that the president responded.
On that Sikh MP. I heard your comments when you talked about the MP. And you should stop, because it didn't make you look good. When everyone knows where the MP is, you can't have a big narration about it. You should say where Zake was. By the time the president said he had escaped, and by the time you narrated the story, the whole world knew where Zake is. So you should stop at what you just said, the first sentence, and stop there. If you say a little bit more.
As if you lie and you know it's a lie. And
which one?
Everyone knew where he was. He was in Rubaga. So you can't say he escaped, he has disappeared.
So when the government finds him,
yes,
he's in Rubaga.
On life support.
Well, not everybody who is in hospital and has a cannula on them is on life support. Some of them. Just say. I have seen people.
Oh, that's okay.
I have seen one MP who walked into court with the cannula, which is a yellow, which is meant for children. So surely.
But in Uganda, what don't you do in your facility?
Well, I don't know what we don't do in our facility. I am saying there is also feigning. There are games going on, but the truth will eventually come out. The president did respond.
Actually,
now you may disagree. You may disagree with the content, but the point I'm making is, it is good that the president is engaging with the public on this matter. The 4 letters he has written, the 4 explanations he has made, you can disagree with the content. And by the way, Oscar, let me say, just for our listeners, in that area, by the way, it's not just 1 car. There were actually 3. But because of the sensitivity around presidential security, we cannot, or we were restrained, we are constrained to say how much damage these hooligans actually caused.
The challenge with these things is, as soon as you said, then you found guns with Bobby Wine and so on. That kind of spoiled all the credibility. So whether you say 1 car or 2 cars, you're not showing. Remember that you have also not shown guns. So it becomes really problematic.
Well, that matter of guns, I'm sure, is under investigation.
No, it's been dropped.
No, it was
dropped completely.
Well, I don't know about it dropping.
We know. Yeah.
Abud is the lawyer. I know. I'm sure he knows that charge sheets are amendable.
No, they amend but when there are still charge sheet. When you withdraw, there are no charge sheets.
Well,
there's nothing.
You can raise it. You can raise it. You can raise it. You can raise it. You can raise it.
But you see,